America is at a crossroads. Our democracy is being tested in ways we haven't seen in decades. Why have truth, honesty, and basic decency become debatable topics? Today, we're taking a deep dive into how the rise of Donald Trump has not only disrupted politics, but also challenged the very values that define us as Americans. This isn't about party lines. It's about character, leadership, and the soul of our nation. Stay with me as we unpack this critical issue and the choices ahead in this election season. Let's start by discussing what's been one of the most disturbing aspects of this election season: the rise of Donald Trump and what it means for American values. I'm not here to talk about just politics. I'm here to talk about something deeper: truth, integrity, and how we treat each other. There was a time when these values weren't partisan. They weren't Republican or Democratic, they were American. We used to have disagreements about tax policy or foreign affairs, but no one questioned whether you should tell the truth. And we certainly didn't make excuses for people who violated basic norms of fairness and decency. So what's changed? This video is for all of us who are concerned about where our country is headed. Whether you support Trump, Biden, or another candidate, this is a conversation we need to have as Americans. Just last week, America was hit by one of the deadliest hurricanes in its history. The beautiful town of Asheville, North Carolina, one of my personal favorite places, was devastated. Hundreds of lives were lost, families were torn apart, and entire communities are now facing a long road to recovery. President Biden and Vice President Harris were on the ground almost immediately, meeting with local officials, comforting families, and offering support. That's what leadership looks like: being there for the people when they need you most, offering real help, real solutions. But what did Donald Trump do? He used that tragedy as a political opportunity. At a rally shortly after the hurricane, Trump made up stories, completely fabricated, about the Biden administration withholding aid from Republican areas and diverting it to undocumented immigrants. There was no basis for this claim, and even local Republican leaders came out to say it wasn't true. But the damage was already done. This kind of rhetoric confuses people and sows distrust at a time when they need clarity and support the most. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a disturbing pattern. We saw it when Florida was hit by a storm not too long ago. The same thing happened: people in need, lives in turmoil, and yet, misinformation and lies took center stage. The consequences of this behavior are severe. Imagine losing everything to a natural disaster, being uncertain of where your next meal or shelter will come from, and then hearing false claims that might discourage you from getting the help you need. When did intentionally misleading people during their most vulnerable moments become acceptable in politics? This is not just about Trump. It's about the standards we, as a nation, are willing to accept from our leaders. When did we become okay with this? And more importantly, why would we allow it to continue? Now, I want to take a moment to speak directly to conservatives, to those of you who didn't vote for me in the past, or who may have disagreed with me on various issues. I have friends who are conservative, friends who believe in small government, strong defense, and fiscal responsibility. But I know these friends would never stand for someone blatantly lying to them. Whether it's a coworker, a business partner, or even a family member. If your coworker consistently lied or manipulated situations, would you continue working with them? If someone you were doing business with acted like that, you'd stop doing business with them, right? Even if it were a family member, you might still love them, but you wouldn't trust them with serious responsibilities. You wouldn't put them in charge of anything important. Yet when Donald Trump lies, cheats, or shows utter disregard for the Constitution, people seem to make excuses. They say, at least he's sticking it to the other side. But is that really the kind of leadership we want for our country? And here's something I've noticed, especially among men who support Trump. There's this notion that his behavior, the bullying, the name-calling, the putting people down, is somehow a sign of strength. But let me be clear. That is not what real strength looks like. Never has been and never will be. Real strength is about carrying a heavy load without complaint. It's about taking responsibility for your actions, even when it's uncomfortable. Real strength is about helping those in need and standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. If we want to teach our sons and daughters anything, it should be that real strength is found in honesty, kindness, and integrity. That's the kind of strength I want to see in the leader of the United States. Now, this election isn't just about who's going to cut your taxes or who's going to handle foreign policy better. Yes, those things are important, but this election is about something bigger. It's about values. It's about character. We need to ask ourselves, What kind of country do we want to leave for the next generation? Do we want to leave a country where lying is normalized, where leaders manipulate and mislead, or do we want to leave a country where values like truth, fairness, and kindness still matter? Here's the good news. We have a choice. We have candidates on the ballot who embody those values, candidates who understand that real leadership isn't about tearing people down, but about building people up. It's about setting a positive example and leaving this country better than they found it. In this election, you have the chance to vote for Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. You can vote for Tim Walz as vice president. You can vote for leaders like Bob Casey and the entire Democratic ticket in Pennsylvania who stand for honesty, integrity, and fairness. So whether this election makes you feel excited, frustrated, or even anxious, one thing is clear. We cannot afford to sit back and hope for the best. You need to make your voice heard. Get off the couch, put down your phone, call your friends and family, and most importantly, vote. Vote like our democracy depends on it, because it does. When we vote in overwhelming numbers, we don't just win elections. We send a message about who we are as a nation. We make it clear that we stand for truth, justice, and equality. That's the America I believe in, and that's the America we can continue to build together. As we head into this election, remember that it's not just about policies on paper. It's about who we are, what we value, and what kind of country we want to leave behind. Let's choose a future where we can be proud of our leaders, where we can teach our children that honesty and integrity still matter. So Pennsylvania, America, this is our moment. Let's go vote. Let's build a future that's more fair, more equal, more just, and more free. That's our responsibility. Let's make it happen. Thank you for watching. And remember, your vote matters. Don't just hope for change. Make it happen. Vote for leaders who will protect our values and our future. Let's build an America we can all be proud of.